Dinner used to mean autopilot, oven timer, 2 kinds of salad because Mark swears croutons are chaos, Noah's laughter ricocheting off the cabinets, Mia sneaking olives. Tonight, the rhythm clicks back in like a song I know too well. Only there's Luca at the table again, shoulders relaxed as if our chairs grew around him. Stay over? Noah asks, already sure. If it's okay, Luca says, soft, polite, that practiced calm that hides how tired his eyes look. Mark raises a brow. The vice principal even at home. Homework first? I pour iced tea and catch Luca watching my hands with a startle of recognition I can't place. The roast smells like Sundays from my childhood. The locket at my throat feels heavier, somehow colder. Mia whispers, he likes the corner piece, and I slice extra for him before he asks. Family is choreography, pass plates, trade stories. Yet every gesture tonight drags a thread from a seam I stitched years ago. When Luca laughs at Noah's bad pun, something inside me answers to a name I haven't used out loud in 17 years. After dinner, we triage dishes like a small R. Mark loads, Mia dries, Noah and Luca compete to see who can stack plates the highest without a crash. Loser buys donuts, Noah declares. Deal, Luca says. But when he reaches for the sponge, he nicks his palm on the edge of a baking sheet. The sound he makes is barely anything. A sharp inhale swallowed. But my body moves before my mind does. Let me see, I say, already at the sink, already turning on cold water. Mark frowns at the fuss. Noah says, it's nothing, bravado covering fear. The cut is shallow, a clean red line, and I press gauze, securing it with practiced, gentle tape. Luca watches me like he's studying a map he's seen in a dream. You always carry medical tape? He asks, trying for light. I'm an ICU nurse, I answer. A little too brisk. Maya's voice hovers near my shoulder. You knew exactly where the first aid kit was, Luca. He smiles. But there's a flicker. He knew because he's been here enough to know everything. Noah drags the keyboard from the den and the house remembers it can sing. One run through, Mark warns, but he's smiling against his will. Luca perches on the piano bench like a cat at rest, then locks in, fingers finding harmonies to Noah's melody, the two of them weaving something that sounds older than they are. I lean on the doorframe, listening to my son's joy braid with another boy's restraint. You're rushing the bridge, Luca murmurs, gentle coach. I'm excited. Noah shoots back, grinning. Mia lies on the rug, drawing constellations between ceiling lights. In the corner, Mark checks tomorrow's calendar, the vice principal counting hours. I close my eyes and let the chords wash over a place in me I keep locked. It would be so simple to love this exactly as it is, to let Luca be a bonus son who laughs at our dumb jokes and comes with us for late-night milkshakes. But simple as a story you tell a child at bedtime. The last chord lands. They glance at me, seeking a verdict I can't say out loud. Perfect and dangerous. After everyone drifts to showers and screens, I tidy what the dishwasher missed. Habit takes me to my bedroom where the jewelry box sits like a little theater of old selves. I open it to return my locket. My fingers know the creak of the hinge, and the space where it belongs is empty. For a beat, I think I'm looking in the wrong compartment, because that's easier than the alternative. I check every tray, the bottom drawer with the silly charm bracelets, the velvet slot where the locket's chain should snake. My pulse taps at my neck. Elena. Mark calls from the hall, toothbrush in his mouth. Did you move my tie clip? I say the first non-alarmed thing I can. No, he disappears, humming. I close the box gently, too gently, like any harder would make the room admit what I already know. It was locked this morning. Maybe I forgot to latch it. Maybe. Down the hall, laughter sparks from Noah's room. Luca's voice is calm water over stones. The locket's absence hums in the air like a power line. Near midnight, the house exhales into that fragile quiet where every sound means more than it should. I step into the garage for paper towels, and freeze. The side door hangs an inch open, wet footprints marking a half-moon on the concrete. Nothing looks ransacked. Mark's tools in soldier straight lines, bikes asleep. But a cardboard box is missing from the top shelf. The one with high school relics I keep promising to throw away. Memory unspools fast. A hospital bracelet, a sonogram ghost, a letter I never mailed. My throat tightens. Elena, Mark again. This time alert. You okay? Thought I heard the cat. I lie. Because telling the truth would set fire to the night. I close the door, lock it, and watch rainwater snake toward the drain. Upstairs, Noah's door clicks. Whispered goodnights, the hush of secrets settling into sleep. In the silence, I can hear my old life whispering through the walls, finding a path back to me with careful, practiced steps. The rain returns after midnight, a thin veil that makes the neighborhood look like a movie set that forgot to strike its weather machine. I'm not a detective. I remind myself as I slip on sneakers and a hooded coat, just a mother whose heartbeat is louder than her common sense. Through the upstairs window, I watched Luca step out quietly, not sneaking so much as floating between rules. And now I trail him with the caution I use when entering a patient's room at 3 a.m. Present? Invisible. He cuts down Maple, hands jammed in pockets, then into the back door of the Silver Finch Diner, where the neon hums like a tired lullaby. Inside, he ties an apron, bussing tables with the efficient tenderness of someone who understands mess. At 1:40, he clocks out, shoulders damp, and heads to the post office where only the lobby stays open. He uses a key with a practiced flick, retrieves a stack of envelopes, stashes one inside his jacket. I'm close enough to smell coffee on his sleeves, and far enough that if he turned, he'd only see the reflection of a woman who finally suspects why her locket felt so cold. By morning, the sky is the color of a faded bedsheet, and the whole block smells like wet soil and yeast from Mrs. Alvarez's pre-dawn baking. She waves me over from her porch, hands dusted in flour, eyes bright with the gossip that isn't meant to be gossip. "Mia, your garage door," she says softly. "Last night I saw the tall boy, Noah's friend, near it." Maybe looking for a charger? The kindness in her voice is an old blanket, warm, heavy. I laugh too quickly. They're teenagers, possibly hunting snacks. She nods, accepting my alibi on credit, but adds, "He's a good boy. Polite. Polite, but tired in the bones." I thank her and carry that phrase like a stone in my pocket. Back inside, Mark is assembling his lunch with surgical neatness, and I almost tell him everything. But the truth is a tide I'm not ready to drown in before work. Upstairs, Noah hums in the shower, unbothered. And somewhere in the house, the absence of a cardboard box thuds like a missing step you keep expecting to find. At school, I pretend I'm just dropping off forms, but the truth is I need to stand in a room where facts still behave. Mr. Whitaker's office smells like dry erase marker and peppermint tea, a sanctuary for frayed teenagers and their parents. He greets me with that counseling voice that makes you confess before you know you're confessing. "How's Noah?" "Good," I say, then add, "And Luca?" He hesitates, a small cough. Brilliant, exhausted. His transcript is, he searches for a word that once sounded accusatory. Seamless. He turns his screen. Neat rows of grades line up like toy soldiers, a few too perfect to be real. Sometimes kids who move around develop inventive paperwork. The room tilts just a fraction. He isn't accusing. He's placing a hand on a fire alarm. "I don't want to make trouble," he says, "but I also don't want him to drown because he's too proud to ask for a life vest." I hear my own voice say, if there were inconsistencies, hypothetically, would you involve administration? Only if safety's at risk. Safety. The word lands on my chest like a weight and a promise. That afternoon, Noah bursts through the door carrying the kind of sunshine that ignores weather reports. Luca follows, careful as always, and from his backpack he produces a small wooden box. For the tempo tyrant, he jokes, offering Noah an antique metronome with a brass pendulum shining like a little heartbeat. Noah gasps. The two of them are magicians producing wonder from thin air. I smile because it's expected and because love is a reflex, but the room tilts again. The metronome is mine, or was, from a box that was supposed to be gathering dust above a garage shelf. I know the nick at its base, the faint ink smudge where a teenage girl once wrote a date she intended to forget. "Where'd you find it?" Noah asks. "Thrift store," Luca says softly, already moving past the question, already tuning the lie to a kind key. Mark arrives in time to see the gift and nods approval at generosity. He doesn't see my fingers trembling, nor, if he does, he translates them into the language of fatigue. I hear the tick-tock, and it sounds like a countdown. I catch Luca on the porch, as dusk settles into that forgiving blue that makes even hard conversations look softer. The neighborhood is all sprinklers and dinner smells, and our voices come out as if we're trying not to wake a sleeping baby. "The metronome," I begin, and his eyes lift, open but guarded. "Thrift store," he repeats, gentler this time as if tone could polish truth. "Funny," I say. "It looks like one I used to have." He doesn't flinch. He absorbs. "I like old things," he says. "They feel held." I lean against the railing, feeling the wood's familiar grooves. "If you ever needed anything, you could ask," I offer, the closest I can get to naming hunger. He studies me the way he studies sheet music, mapping the rests as carefully as the notes. "I'm fine," he says, and it isn't defiance so much as an oath of self-reliance. From inside, Noah's laugh tumbles through the screen door and stops between us. He doesn't know I'm asking, I admit. Lucas' grateful smile is a tired sunrise. "Let's keep it that way," he says, and I hear what he isn't saying. Not yet. Detective Priya Desai arrives with a knock that sounds like a period at the end of a sentence. She's smaller than I expect, with eyes that see past paint and politeness. In the living room, Mark sits upright like a witness who has practiced telling the truth until it hurts less. She listens to our version. Side door, wet prints, missing box, and writes with a pen that never scratches. Only glot. "Anything personal in the box?" she asks. I say, "Old school stuff," and hear the wobble. Mark clears his throat. "Whoever did it came to our home," he says, voice ironed flat. I want to press charges. The syllables land between us like bricks. Desai's gaze touches Noah's framed recital photo, pauses on Lucas' grin at its edge, then returns to me. "Any reason someone close would know the layout?" she asks lightly, like a nurse asking pain level 1 to 10. "Kids have friends," I offer, and feel Noah's laughter from last night echo through the quiet. Desai nods. Not satisfied, not skeptical, just patient. The way tides are patient with coasts that keep eroding. On my lunch break, I drive to the far side of town, where storage units line up like teeth. The key has lived for years under the false bottom of my makeup bag, a talisman I pretended was a mistake. Inside the unit, dust rises in a soft, accusing breath. Boxes labeled college, winter, don't wait like unmade decisions. I find the metal tin I remember, the one with a sticker of a faded sun, and inside it a packet of documents, hospital forms with my 17-year-old signature, wide loops trying to look adult, discharge summaries, a counseling brochure, and the photocopy of a sealed record stamped with a number that used to feel like a curse. My hands shake. I thought I could will the past to stay archived, that a padlock could keep a heartbeat from finding me. I sit on the concrete and read the name of a clinic I swore I'd never say out loud again. When my phone buzzes, Mark asking if I'll be home for dinner, I type late shift and hate how easy the lie still is after all this time. Memory opens like a trapdoor. 17. A too-bright clinic room, mint paint trying to be gentle. My mother's absence like weather. Eric's cologne, expensive and out of place. as he tells me this is the adult thing, the clean thing, the quiet thing. Papers slide across a clipboard. I sign with a hand that doesn't feel like mine. Later, under the hum of fluorescent light, a nurse with kind eyes asks if I'm sure. I am not, but I nod, because there are no choices left that feel like mine. The social worker speaks in soft, practiced phrases. Opportunity, future, confidential. Someone hands me a hospital bracelet, and the baby's wisp of hair curls damp against a temple I never get to kiss. The sound in my chest is grief, trying to remember how to breathe. When I walk out, the sun feels wrong on my skin, like applause at the end of the wrong play. In the parking lot, Eric promises, "We'll never talk about this again." Secrecy is an oath we swore, without understanding its interest rate. The first aid drill at school is routine theater. Fake bruises, volunteer victims. The vice principal timing the response like a track meet. I came to drop off Noah's forgotten lunch and got drafted to supervise. Lucas stations himself quietly near the aid cart, competent in that way that hides struggle. When a teacher jokingly asks blood type trivia, he answers without fanfare, AB negative. And I feel the floor slide an inch. It's rare. I know because I've charted it, and because I read it once on my own lab results when I was 17 and everything smelled like antiseptic and fear. He shows a laminated donor card. His fingers shake only at the edges. I look at his face and see 10 stories at once. The boy who works a night shift. The boy who gifts metronomes from a past that isn't his. The boy whose blood belongs to the same tiny club as mine. "You okay?" he asks when he catches me watching. "Just lightheaded." I lie, and the gym's echo turns the word into a bell that keeps ringing. Mia is the kind of kid who follows crumbs because she trusts they lead somewhere. After school, she wanders to the guest room that's become Luca's second closet. The door is half closed, the air smelling faintly of detergent and rain. On the wall, under a pinned map of the neighborhood, she finds a corkboard threaded with string. The Heart House in various seasons, a photo of me at 20, pulled from some forgotten social media corner. The Silver Finch Diners. Neon, a grainy shot of our garage door from last night. None of it feels menacing. It feels like a study guide written by a boy who never wants to fail another test. Mia whispers, "What are you looking for?" to a room that can't answer. She takes one photo down and flips it. On the back, my maiden name is scrawled in Lucas' careful hand, alongside a hospital logo I recognize too well. Mia folds the photo into her pocket, not to hide it, but to keep it safe. And when she closes the door, she does it gently, like leaving a sleeping animal undisturbed. The police interview room smells faintly of coffee and disinfectant, the universal scent of confession. Detective Desai sits across from Luca, calm as a metronome. I watch from behind the one-way glass, my palms pressed flat, heartbeat hammering in the hollow between ribs. Luca isn't handcuffed. He doesn't need to be. His stillness does the binding. "You were near the Hart residence the night of the break-in." Desai's tone is silk around steel. "I went for my bike," he says, voice steady. "Garage was open?" "Did you take anything?" "No, ma'am." She slides a photo of the empty shelf across the table. His eyes flicker for the briefest second. Regret, not fear. The door opens. A woman enters, all precision and perfume. "Mara Reed," she announces, "his guardian." Her gaze sweeps the room, landing on me through the glass as if she's known me longer than the word stranger allows. Desai thanks her politely, but the air tightens. When Mara places a protective hand on Luca's shoulder, the gesture is too practiced, too rehearsed, like a shield forged years before either of us could admit why. Back home, I spread the documents across the kitchen table like tarot cards. Hospital bracelet, birth record, discharge summary. My trembling hand hovers over the date. September 18, Lucas' birthday. The world narrows to a pinpoint. Mark stands in the doorway, still in his vice principal's badge and authority. "You're working from home," he asks. Just sorting old things, I say. My voice sounds wrong. He glances at the papers, brows furrowing. Why keep this stuff? He asks. And I can't find a lie fast enough. I don't know, I whisper, which is true and not. He retreats, muttering something about dinner, and I trace the date again with the pad of my finger, the ink almost worn away. 17 years of silence unravel in one slow exhale. Outside, the neighborhood kids ride bikes past the window, shouting with the kind of joy that doesn't know its expiration date. I think of Luca's calm, of how he watches me sometimes, as if waiting for me to remember something we both forgot to name. The evening air smells like rain that changed its mind. Luca waits at the end of the driveway, backpack slung over one shoulder, as if ready to disappear before anyone can ask him to. Why didn't you tell me? I ask, voice barely sound. He doesn't pretend to misunderstand. Because I wasn't sure, he says, eyes steady, not defensive. I found a name on a torn hospital bracelet in Mara's things. I needed to know if it was real. So you followed it here, I say. He nods. I didn't plan to stay this long, he admits. But Noah, he stops, throat tight. The sound of his name, Noah, hits me like confession and punishment at once. Does he know? I whisper. Luca shakes his head. He thinks I'm lucky to have you. I didn't want to change that. The porch light hums above us, insects orbiting truth like gravity. You look like him, I say before I can stop myself. Luca's smile trembles. Then maybe I didn't come here by mistake. Mark overhears the wrong 10 seconds, the ones that sound like betrayal even when they're just truth arriving late. He stands in the doorway, frozen, the end of Luca's sentence hanging in the air. I just needed to know where I came from. Silence snaps. What's he talking about? Mark demands. Elena. My name in his mouth feels like a summons. You're his. He can't even finish. Not the way you think, I start, but lies and truths twist together until I can't untangle them. You knew this boy before. His voice shakes with something colder than anger, disbelief. I didn't know him, I say. I knew his name before he had it. For a moment, no one breathes. The look Mark gives me isn't rage, it's subtraction. Like he's recalculating our entire marriage without the variable of trust. He leaves before I can say the only thing that matters. I didn't want to lose anyone. But secrets always demand a trade. New shrew or I say worse, want to name trade. We meet at the kitchen table again. The four of us. But nothing sits right anymore. The metronome, silent now, rests between coffee cups. Mark's jaw is set. Noah's confusion curls tight in his shoulders. Luca's eyes are red-rimmed but unflinching. We'll get a DNA test, Mark says flatly, every word carved in granite. If this is true, we deal with it. If it's not, we end it. Dad, Noah starts, voice cracking. He's my friend. He lied, Mark snaps. So did Mom. Noah shoots back, and I feel the table tilt. Enough, I say softly, but no one hears me. Luca nods slowly, accepting a punishment he thinks he deserves. I'll do it, he says. I should have been honest. Noah looks at him like something vital just broke. You used us, he whispers, the word us heavier than any accusation. He leaves the room, and his chair's scrape feels like a door slamming inside my chest. The ticking starts again, not from the metronome, but from the kitchen clock, steady as a verdict. The auditorium smells like hairspray and cheap velvet, the scent of nerves and parent pride. Noah stands under the stage lights, microphone trembling in his hand. Beside him, the piano bench sits empty. Lucas, not coming. I whisper to Mark, but he doesn't answer. His eyes are already stone. The crowd shifts, murmurs starting as Noah's fingers hover above the keys. He tries to play, hits the wrong chord, laughs it off, tries again. Guess it's a solo tonight, he says, voice cracking on solo. The first notes come out thin, brittle glass. I can almost see the outline of where Luca should be, ghosting the harmony, filling the air that's now all echo. Mia fidgets in her seat, whispers, "They fought. On stage." Noah's rhythm stumbles. His face tightens. Then he stops completely. "Sorry," he mutters into the mic. Applause trickles, polite and awkward. Mark claps once, more command than encouragement. I can't move. Somewhere in the wings, I imagine Luca listening, guilt and longing pressed into his palms like sheet music he can't bear to play. Later that night, Mark closes the front door with the precision of someone sealing off a fault line. "You need to tell me everything," he says, voice measured but sharp enough to cut. I sit on the couch where the boys once watched movies, where Luca used to fall asleep halfway through. When I was 17, I begin, and Mark's breath catches before I can go on. I tell him about the clinic, the forms, the promise to forget. And Luca? He interrupts. He's mine, I whisper. The silence that follows is worse than shouting. "You married me with that secret," he says finally. "You built this house on a lie. On survival," I correct softly. "There's a difference." His eyes flash. "Not to me." He turns away, pacing once, twice. "I don't know if I can fix this," he says. "You don't have to," I answer. "Just don't destroy what's left." But we both know he already has. And so have I. Eric shows up the next morning like a ghost that remembers where all the doors are. He's aged into authority. Salt hair, tailored coat, the practiced calm of someone who lives on reputation. "You shouldn't have opened this," he says before I can speak. "You knew it couldn't stay buried forever," I answer. His eyes harden. I have a family now. A son who thinks the world started with me. And I have one who's finally found me. I shoot back. He sighs, pacing the kitchen. "If this gets out," it already has, I interrupt. He presses fingers to his temple. "You think truth is freedom. It's not. It's exposure." I almost laugh. Funny, coming from a man who taught me how to hide. For a heartbeat, we're both 17 again, terrified of futures we couldn't name. Then he says the quiet part out loud. "If Lucas yours, he's half mine too." The claim feels like theft. "No," I say, voice steady now. "You signed him away. That's one secret you don't get to resurrect." Detective Desai's voice on the phone is gentler than it should be. "We have confirmation," she says. "Luca broke in, but he didn't take anything of value, only old memorabilia. He's been keeping them safe." I close my eyes. Safe from who? Maybe from not knowing. Her tone softens further. "He said he didn't want to hurt you, Mrs. Hart. He just needed proof. Proof. The word has teeth." I thank her, hang up, and sit with the silence. The house feels smaller. Walls closing in around echoes. I find the metronome still ticking from where Noah must have left it running, its steady beat filling the space where denial used to live. I picture Luca, waiting somewhere, braced for judgment, still protecting the evidence of his own existence. The pendulum clicks back and forth. Patient as forgiveness I haven't learned to give. Noah's room is stripped of laughter. Clothes gone, posters curling at the edges. Mark stands in the doorway with a duffel bag and says, "Hell, stay with my brother for a while." "That's not necessary," I plead, but he's already shaking his head. He needs space. From all of us. The sentence lands like exile. "And you?" I ask. He hesitates. "It'll stay with them too. For now." The "for now" feels final. When the door closes behind them, the silence is too clean. I walk into Noah's room and find a single photo taped to his desk. Him and Luca, laughing, heads thrown back, sunlight catching both their faces. On the back, in Noah's handwriting, "Brothers don't need blood to match." My throat locks. I sit on his bed, holding the photo until the corners bend, listening to a house that used to breathe like a family, and now only sighs. The envelope arrives on a Wednesday, thin and unassuming as if it doesn't contain An earthquake. Detective Desai drops it off herself. You should open it when you're ready, she says, and her eyes hold something almost maternal. I wait until dusk, when the house is quiet enough to hear my own pulse. The seal breaks with a soft sigh, and there it is in clean black type. Probability of maternity? 99.98%. The room contract. I think of all the times I almost knew, the flickers of recognition I'd buried under reason. My hands shake as I whisper, I knew it. And the words sound both triumph and punishment. Outside, wind stirs the trees. Inside, the truth rearranges the furniture of my life. I should feel whole. Instead, I feel unmoored, as if my heart has been returned without its instruction manual. Lucas' name on the page looks foreign and familiar, like a word I once invented and forgot to speak. Mark's suitcase waits by the door, half-zipped, like a verdict that doesn't need witnesses. He doesn't look at me when he says, "You'll stay at David's until we figure this out." I want to say there's nothing left to figure, but that's not true. There's everything. We can get counseling, I offer, voice quiet. You hid a son for 17 years, he says. Not cruelly, just factually. You built trust on quicksand. He pauses, swallowing the rest. It's not love that's gone, Elena. It's certainty. The word lands like a diagnosis. I'm sorry, I whisper, because there's no vocabulary for regret this deep. He nods once, zips the suitcase, and leaves. The click of the door is the cleanest sound I've ever heard. I stare at the space he's vacated, trying to feel angry, but all I feel is the quiet echo of the truth doing its job, clearing out every lie, even the ones I thought were keeping us alive. The next morning, Luca shows up with a cardboard box in his arms. These belong to you, he says, setting it gently on the porch. Inside, my locket's twin, the metronome, photos I hadn't realized were missing, sealed letters written by a version of me I can barely remember. You kept them safe, I say. I was trying to understand, he replies. You must hate me. No, I say truthfully. I hate that you had to find me this way. He nods, shoulders tight as if bracing for a punishment that won't come. I can go, he offers. Maybe I should. I reach for his wrist. Don't, I whisper. If you leave now, this secret wins again. The air between us holds too many words. For the first time, I see not just the son I lost, but the man who found me. Later, Mara shows up uninvited, her heels silent on the porch boards. You should have left him alone, she says, calm and cutting. He deserved the truth, I answer. You call this truth? She gestures toward the house, the cracks showing through its silence. You think it heals people. It ruins them. I step closer. He was already ruined by the lie. For the first time, her confidence falters. You don't understand, she says quietly. I promised his mother I'd protect him. You mean me? The question catches her like a slap. No, she says finally, voice breaking. I meant the girl you used to be. For a moment we stand there. Two women guarding the same wound, both bleeding from opposite sides. Now it's my turn. She exhales, defeated, and turns toward her car. Then make it mean something, she says. Desai finds me sitting on the park bench near the lake. Off-duty now, coat unbuttoned, humanity showing. You did the right thing, she says. It doesn't feel like it, she shrugs. That's how you know it was. We sit in silence, watching ripples reach for the far shore. Everyone wants truth to fix something, she says finally. It doesn't. It just changes what needs fixing. I smile. Small, but real. You sound like my therapist. Budget cuts, she says dryly, and we both laugh. The sound surprises me. It's been days since I remembered what laughter feels like without guilt. So what now? she asks. Now, I say, standing. I tell them what they deserve to hear, not what makes me feel safe. The wind lifts, cool and kind. Somewhere, maybe. That's what forgiveness sounds like. Air moving through spaces, finally cleared of secrets. The park feels smaller when Noah agrees to meet me there, like grief has folded the world inward. He sits on the swing, head down, earbuds dangling like unfinished thoughts. I walk slowly, hands visible, as if approaching a wild animal afraid of traps. I'm not here to defend it, I say before he can speak. I just need you to know why. He doesn't look at— You lied my whole life, he says, voice low. To protect myself, I admit, not you. I told myself it was mercy, but it was fear. He looks up, eyes raw. You didn't just break Dad, you broke me. Because if everything you said was fake, how do I know what's real? The question lands like scripture. I kneel, gravel biting through my jeans. This, I whisper. This is real. The part where I tell the truth even if it ruins us. For a moment, he studies me like a stranger deciding whether to trust. Then he stands. It already did. He walks away, leaving the swing creaking behind him like a confession too late to save. Luca waits outside the bus station, suitcase by his feet, ticket folded in half like hesitation. The late sun paints everything gold, the kind of beauty that hurts because it's leaving. Running away again? I ask gently. He smiles without humor. Just giving everyone space to breathe. Noah's car pulls up behind me, gravel crunching. He steps out, shoulders stiff, eyes wet. The two boys face each other like reflections, learning they share the same bones. You're my brother, Noah says, the word sharp and trembling. Even if I hate you right now. Luca nods. That's fair. Silence stretches, fragile and necessary. I step back, letting them fill it. Noah finally exhales. You coming back? Luca's voice cracks. If you'll have me. Noah looks at me, then him. We'll see. It isn't forgiveness, but it's a door cracked open wide enough for hope to slip through. Mark meets me at the courthouse steps. Envelope in hand. Divorce papers. Simple, clinical, merciless. We don't speak for a while. The city hum fills in the blanks. We're really doing this? He says. Not a question. I think we already did, I reply. He studies my face like someone trying to remember a language they used to speak. You could have told me, he says softly. I wanted to, I admit. But every time I looked at you, I saw the life I built to escape the old one. I couldn't risk losing both. He nods, a small, sad acknowledgement. You're a good mother, he says. And for a moment, I believe him. And you were a good husband, I answer. We sign where the lines tell us to, hands barely shaking. When it's done, he closes the folder and looks at me one last time. Take care of them. I will, I say. Even the ones I didn't raise. The diner opens early. And for once, the silver finch smells like something other than fatigue. Luca sits in a booth, breakfast untouched, sunlight catching in his hair. I slide into the opposite seat. You really leaving? I ask. Maybe just a break, he says. You've had enough of those. I tease gently. He smiles. And for a moment, I see the boy he might have been if I'd stayed. We talk about nothing. The weather, the coffee, the way the jukebox still plays the same 3 songs. When the waitress refills our cups, he says, I don't know how to start over. You already did, I say. The hard part's keeping it honest. He nods, staring out the window where the sun is just clearing the rooftops. You ever wish you could go back? He asks. Every day, I say, but then I'd miss this. Us. Right now. He smiles faintly. Then maybe that's enough. Evening again. The house hums with quiet. The kind that feels like permission, not punishment. Outside, Noah stands on one side of the street. backpack slung, waiting for Mia to finish her bike loop. Across from him, Luca lingers by the curb, duffel in hand. They don't speak, just nod. A small truce in the shape of acknowledgement. Inside, I stand at the doorway, hands around a mug gone cold. Mark's chair is empty, but the light still hits it just right. The air feels clean, unburdened by pretending. I step outside, the porch creaking under my weight. Dinner's soon. I call softly. Noah waves. Luca doesn't move, but he smiles, and it's enough. For the first time, I don't close the door behind me. I leave it half open, the way you do when you know someone might still come home.